All right. We have some very big news. This was not going to be my original video you're watching right now, but this just happened 7 minutes ago. Minnesota judge won't issue restraining order to stop ICE operations in the state for now. And by the way, if you are watching this video, this is a posted live stream. This is a live stream right now, but it will be posted. Make sure to please like this video. Make sure to please subscribe. Turn on your notifications so you don't miss the live streams. But yeah, this is happening. If you guys are unaware, of course, there is a lawsuit against Homeland Security. And it doesn't look like it's going too well as of right now. As of right now. Again, this is temporary for now, but maybe this is a good sign as far as a judge just not immediately saying, nope, Homeland Security is wrong. No. A judge says, I want more evidence. The judge said her decision Wednesday did not necessarily indicate she has an opinion on the case yet. The federal government has until January 19th to respond, and the state of Minnesota has until January 22nd. Wow. And just like that, a little bit of a hurdle. So we'll see what evidence they're actually going to bring to the table. I am very curious. And if you guys are enjoying the live stream, make sure to please like the live stream. It helps out a ton. And thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys. Now, again, this just happened. This was not going to be the original video. We were actually going to be talking about how Tim Walz is facing impeachment. 4 different articles put in place by Republicans in Minnesota. Good to see all of you guys. Thank you, Mr. C3781, for being a member, and Daniel for being a member. Thank you, guys, and thank you, everybody. Make sure, please, like this stream. I really want to make sure everybody can see what's going on here. To all the T-SPLY subscribers, we can only get that done with you guys. Really, it's your interactions. It pushes it out to the other T-SPLY family members. Okay, so this is another big deal. Article 1, violation of oath of office through concealment of fraud. Article 2, interference with oversight and investigations. Article 3, prioritizing political considerations over lawful administration. Article 4, failure to steward public funds. What do you guys think about this, huh? The first article accuses Walz of knowingly concealing or permitting the concealment of systematic fraud in state programs, ignoring repeated warnings, audits, reports, and public indicators of abuse. This includes failures to address fraud in programs like Feeding Our Future and Medicaid, allowing ongoing theft of public funds despite evidence dating back years. Now, one thing I will say is what's interesting about this is that the governor doesn't necessarily deny stuff like this has happened, but what he does say is, it's not me, it's them. I'm sure you guys have heard or seen that rhetoric before. Charges Walz with obstructing or interfering with lawful oversight, investigations, or corrective actions related to fraud in state agencies. This involves allegations of ignoring whistleblowers, delaying responses to audits, and hindering efforts to probe and rectify program vulnerabilities. If you guys are unaware, recently, like a really big whistleblower group did come out and started dropping a ton of receipts. This was before Nick Shirley. Obviously, Nick Shirley amplified this. And I cannot control the ads. I apologize if that happens. I'm sorry if that happens. Number 3, alleges that Walz placed political narratives and considerations above the proper administration of state programs, including failing to disclose known failures and prioritizing image over transparency and accountability in handling fraud scandals. And by the way, for those of you joining, we have a really big show for you guys today. I just want to throw this out there right now. We have another angle that Nick Sortor posted. Remember Nick Sortor? In front of the federal building in St. Paul. He had to get out of there in his rental vehicle. We have an angle here. It appears as if the person in the front of the vehicle said some things in his audio. It appears as if. Wait until I show you guys that clip. And also, the mayor went on Fox News and got called out. So we're going to play that as well. Of Minneapolis. I just want to get through this real quick. 4th article accuses Walz of neglecting his duty to faithfully execute laws protecting public funds, resulting in weakened safeguards, ignored protocols, and the unchecked dissipation of billions in taxpayer money through fraudulent activities in multiple state initiatives. So yeah, that's out there as of right now. Will it go through? Who knows, maybe, but it's out there. The other big news is that it looks like Chief Bovino has more men with him. We keep hearing more and more federal agents are coming into Minneapolis and St. Paul. I feel like a broken record, like I keep repeating the same thing over. Now we have an accurate indication that there are 800 Border Patrol agents alone. And that's a really big deal, considering only 200 Border Patrol agents were in Chicago with Operation Midway Blitz. And if you guys want to go take a look at those stats and what happened there, Chief Bovino got a lot done with only 200 men. Now imagine 800. That's a lot. Which, by the way, indicates Chief Bovino is going to be very busy because they have Border Patrol doing everything out there. From investigations to security of federal buildings to broad sweeps. So, yeah, I don't expect we're going to be seeing a lot of him on Fox News anytime soon. Being in charge of 800 people is a lot. Now, I really wanted to get to this. The mayor of Minneapolis decided to go onto Fox News and talk about what's happening in his city. He does get called out. It's either in this clip or another clip where he gets asked, what about the attacks? What about the rammings? And wait until you see what his answer is. But again, I really try to make sure I give all the different perspectives here. So we're going to let the mayor speak. And here we go. Let's see what he has to say.
If this were about murder or... Yep, we do have a lawsuit. Let's talk about that.
So legal analysts, not just on Fox News, on CNN and other networks, are saying that this holds no water. There's no basis for it. You're telling me here on Fox News that you support law enforcement removing murderers and rapists. So what's with the lawsuit?
Well, because what is happening right now through ICE is not about getting rid of murderers. What we see right now is discrimination taking place only on the basis of race. Are you Latino or are you Somali? And then it is indiscriminate thereafter. In other words, they are pulling.
And by the way, for those of you all just joining, this interview's a little ironic here because he's saying all of this, and the judge on day one of this hearing straight up said, I want more evidence. So again, for those of you just joining right now in the live stream, the judge has already declined for any ICE restriction. So keep that in mind. As he is talking right now, the judge has already made an initial determination. I need more evidence from everyone.
People off the streets. They have pulled U.S. citizens off the streets. And you don't need to take my word for it. At this point, this has been very well documented. And also, you don't need to take my word for it. Listen to Trump. Trump himself is saying that this is about retribution. He's saying that there is a reckoning and a retribution that is coming. And so, again, if this were about murder or rape or crime or fraud, then, look, we have worked together, not just with the Biden administration, with the past Trump administration, with the Bush administration. Right. We have worked with a number of different administrations to successfully drive down crime.
President Trump, Mr. Mayor,
about that. And so
secured the border, which is what he ran on. Do you give him credit for securing that border? Now he is going through the interior with ICE operations to remove the criminal illegal aliens that came in that open border of the previous administration.
And by the way, I have to say this. Speaking of the interior of the United States, at the end of the month, we're going to see what happens because Homeland Security's funding does run out and they're going to have to vote. Congress, they're going to have to vote on this new fund. And I don't know if you guys heard this yet. I did make a video on it. It didn't get a lot of views, so I'm just going to let you guys know right now. Democrats are proposing they're not going to vote to fund Homeland Security unless they get reforms. Okay, and one of these reforms happens to be they want Border Patrol to stick within the border, not the interior of the United States. Now, the border is legally technically 100 miles, But that is one of the restrictions or reforms that Democrats want. So keep in mind, he's talking about the interior of the United States. This would really shake up how the Trump administration can conduct operations if this reform did go through, which I don't think it will go through, but it is out there as of right now.
I think at the end of the day, let me get you on record if I can, Mr. Mayor. Do you support abolishing ICE?
I do not support abolishing ICE. However, I absolutely oppose the way that this administration is conducting themselves with ICE. Look, there are a number of entities presently, agencies at the federal government. But isn't that what your lawsuit is about,
that are
stopping
ICE right
themselves now? No, you should read the lawsuit. The lawsuit says that, hey, you know, ICE doing ICE stuff is not what we're talking about right now. Again,
And this is why a lot of people, they get a little confused with sanctuary cities, because in sanctuary cities like Minneapolis, I mean, they're not shying that we don't work with ICE. We have this division of police, or separation of police does not work with ICE as far as deportation operations. And now, you know, with the whole thing that happened in Minneapolis with the shooting, now they want to work with ICE. And so you see here a little bit of a sleight of hand. You know, we want restrictions on ICE, but we don't want to abolish ICE. You know, it's the details and the wording here. And again, if you guys are just joining this live stream, make sure to turn on your notifications, like the stream, and subscribe. I don't want you guys to miss a thing. Every single hour, this story develops into something new. And again, for those of you joining, the judge has said, I want more evidence, no restrictions for ICE as of right now in Minneapolis.
we've had ICE.
Minnesota as well.
In our city before, we've had ICE in our state before. It is the fact that, look, right now, there's about 3,000 federal ICE agents in our city between ICE and Border Control. You know how many police officers that we have? 600. Right. The kind of duress that our city is experiencing because of this is magnified. Again, crime has been down. This is not helping. Chaos has been dramatically increased by the way that these ICE operations are taking place. And
okay, so leave your comments. Let me know what he has to say about that. Do you agree with him? Do you not agree with him? Again, on this show, we try to give everybody a chance to speak. And thank you, MW777, for becoming a tactical scooter soldier. Thank you so much for that. And thank you guys for all your support. And thank you for being here. I hope you guys have been enjoying these live streams. We have a lot of show for you guys. Okay, so he did that interview. I have more clips for you here.
These individuals were roaming free in your city because...
Remember, he just made the statement that, you know, it's not more safe. We have 600 police officers. Now we have thousands of agents. Why is that a good thing? Of course, on Fox News, they counter with this talking point. And I think many of you know this is usually the counter talking point. If you have more security in your city, that should make it more safe, right?
We're roaming free in your city because your policies do not cooperate with detainers. And so ICE is then going to get these people off the street. You would agree that the streets are safer without these individuals on your streets.
Look, in Minneapolis and in Minnesota.
To me, that's a pretty simple yes or no question. I mean, I'm not even going to read out loud what these crimes are because they're absolutely insane. That was to me personally, that seemed like a pretty yes or no answer. You guys can let me know how you feel about it. Again, this was the question, and we're about to not get this immediate. Yeah, I would assume we're more safe because these guys are not here, objectively speaking, but...
We're roaming free in your city because your policies do not cooperate with detainers, and so ICE is then going to get these people off the street. You would agree that the streets are safer without these individuals on your streets.
Look, in Minneapolis and in Minnesota, we are anti-murder, we are anti-crime, we are for improving the safety wherever we can. And by the way, we have worked with administrations, both present and past, to drive down crime. We've worked with the DEA, the ATF, the FBI to prosecute and charge violent crime. We've worked to get perpetrators of violent gun crime off the street, narcotics off the street. In fact, the work that was conducted was so successful, it resulted in the lowest number of shootings on record on, for instance, the North Side. We are willing to work with people when it's about murder and when it's about crime. But
So this is the problem the Trump administration has. The Trump administration's position would be, okay, great, we love when you work with us, but the problem is, why are you waiting until it gets to that point, the escalation? And I think a lot of people also miss that talking point. Sanctuary cities can, and there usually are, a little gray area in the policies. Sanctuary cities can work with ICE under certain circumstances, like the ones we're talking about here. But the problem is, again, for some people, maybe not for some, why wait for that escalation to get that bad and then you say, yeah, we are going to work with you, when it could have been, you could have been working with federal agencies to try and prevent this.
The truth is that this ain't about that. If this were about that, we'd have many important areas where there would be areas where we could work together. This, however, is the largest immigration enforcement action on record in the United States. And so I would just ask you, why is the largest scale immigration enforcement action taking place where we don't even have that many undocumented immigrants? Why would it not take place in Texas or Florida or Utah?
Okay, so this right here, this specific part right here, why is it not occurring in these, other red states? You guys can go look at the stats. I think Texas is technically number one for the most deportations, technically, because obviously they're on the border. So those are not the most accurate stats as far as wanting to compare a Texas stat to a Minnesota stat as far as deportations. But ICE is everywhere. They're not only isolated in his one specific area.
Undocumented immigrants. Why would it not take place in Texas or Florida or Utah, where you do actually have those large numbers of undocumented immigrants? Because that's where it would actually make more sense. But again, if the issue is murder or crime, the answer is we do work with the federal government. In fact, we're presently doing that.
Okay, so there you go. He is saying that he does work with the federal government. You heard that straight from him. Now, I personally did not hear the answer. Maybe I missed it as far as, are your streets safer? We somehow, 1 minute plus of talking, we did not get that specific answer. But according to the mayor, he does say he works with the federal government. You guys heard that? ICE has responded to this, of course. Mayor Frey refers to criminal illegal aliens ICE is detaining in Minnesota as his neighbors.
Ask ICE to get the F out of your city. Here's the little secret. ICE, I'm sure, would like to not have to be doing the surge operations, but because of 4 years under the President Biden administration, you had an unprecedented number of illegal migrants coming across the border. Many of them turned out to be criminal illegal aliens, and now they're going after those individuals. We can show you just a litany of, scores of illegal criminal aliens that have been apprehended in the past few days that have included everyone from murders to.
So again, this was the lead up into that. And then as you heard, we didn't get the yes or no answer. So again, you guys know this. This is what happens with sanctuary cities. This is why I started to investigate and look into sanctuary cities, because I was confused as far as what is your answer to, I like security, but I don't want to work with ICE, who is trying to help with security. And this is typically the answer you get. In a very sleight of hand way, they will say, we're not trying to get rid of ICE, a lot of times in my reporting, but then the policy says otherwise. They don't work with ICE. So, yeah, I'm sure you guys know this already. I'm just trying to show you these recent interviews from the mayor himself. And if you guys are joining, we have 5,000 live viewers. Hello to the 5,000 people. Never expected that to happen, but love you guys. I hope you guys have been enjoying these live streams, and I'm trying to do my best to give you the most relevant information out there as far as this particular investigation on Minneapolis. It's developing every single day. The biggest development right now, well, it's going to be happening here in about a week or two, is the possibility of a government shutdown. A week ago, a government shutdown was like, maybe over ICE. Now it's pretty plausible as far as not funding Homeland Security. For those of you that are unaware, the funding will be running out January 30th. Democrats, they want changes. The obvious one is we don't want them to wear masks, okay? But the other big implications are every single arrest has to have a warrant Border Patrol cannot be on the interior of the United States, and less restrictions for oversight on facilities. So keep that in mind. As of right now, the Progressive Caucus Democrats are pressuring the other Democrats, trying to unify on this position of we're not going to be voting yes to fund unless we get these changes. So we'll see what happens. Just keep that in mind. As of right now, that is starting to boil over just a little bit, but let's listen to this.
Be willing to shut the government down when it comes to ICE funding, like some of your Democratic colleagues have suggested?
Well, listen, what I have said is that I can't see any way that I could provide more funding to an agency that is completely out of control. I'd like to see Democrats and Republicans come together and say, let's establish at least some standards here that ICE agents would need to, not wear masks, that they need to have basic training. I think that this is the role and the responsibility of Congress.
Ironically, I don't think Republicans would be opposed to more training. That would just cost more money. Number two, the mask issue. I don't know if you guys realize this. Todd Lyons himself, the director of ICE, is not a fan of the mask. He is one of the first people to come out and say, I don't like when my agents have to wear the masks, but of course you guys know the reason, the counter talking point. He says, I have no other choice. I have to let them wear the mask because of how many agents were getting leaked. So if there's one person who actually says, I don't like the mask, it really is Todd Lyons, if we're being fair to the story. To exercise some oversight and some discipline over what is happening here. So I'm looking to people on both sides of the aisle to try to bring some sanity to what's happening in my home state.
Do you think that's going to happen?
Well, I wasn't born yesterday. I can see what's happening. But I mean, it's interesting that you showed that clip from Joe Rogan, who is expressing the discomfort that I think so many people feel when they watch the videos, the eyewitness videos in Minneapolis. And I mean, I have to hope and I have to push that people will see these things and say, yes, maybe there really is something that we have to do, because it may be the constituents, the citizens in Minnesota this week, but who is it going to be next week? Is this?
Okay, so I think you guys get the point. Again, if you guys are new to my show, I try to give all the talking points here so we're not so one-sided and we don't know what people are talking about or saying. And again, if you guys are new here, make sure to turn on your notifications. We do this every single morning. We go in detail through all of these different stories, and make sure to please subscribe. Okay, so Stephen Miller showed up on Fox News yesterday and absolutely went off. Every once in a while, Stephen Miller just shows up, but if there's one thing Stephen Miller supports, it's this idea of allowing Homeland Security to not feel this pressure or fear to do their job. And Stephen Miller, I mean, these are some pretty big accusations. He's just straight up saying the Democrats are fueling an insurgency, using that type of language. So let me know how you feel about that. If you agree with him, this is what he has to say.
The President of the United States is never going to make a decision about what to do or what not to do based on how it might upset the violent left-wing insurgents. His obligation, what he is supremely committed to, is enforcing and upholding the sovereignty of the United States. I'm familiar with the video that you're referencing, where a mob of Somali refugees swarmed ICE officers. And the profound contempt this refugee population that has built this nation has for our country, our flag, our law enforcement officers. And what I would just say to reassure your audience, to reassure you, is that under the new federal surge that has taken place and the additional assets that have been put in place under President Trump's direction, under Secretary Noem's leadership, we now have the resources we need, not only to protect the safety and security of our ICE officers and our border agents and their operations, but to begin the work of identifying, disrupting, and dismantling these insurgent networks. As you mentioned, they're very...
Yeah, again, guys, this is not only deportation operations. I mean, when they say federal surge, we're talking about all assets, FBI, ATF, DOJ, everybody on board. And so this is a kind of, I don't want to say historic moment. This is unique in what we've seen in the United States, of course. And a correlation that Homeland Security will often say is when we have more agents in an area, expect more pushback. And a little bit later in this show, I will be showing you guys some of the clips of a little bit of pushback as far as protesters on the streets and stuff like that.
Coordinated. They have ICE spotters and ICE watchers. They use chats to communicate.
And by the way, I have to point this out. Notice Stephen Miller says ICE watchers and ICE spotters. You'll notice there is a difference in how people talk about, you either hear the wording legal observers, constitutional observers, and then on the right conservative talking point, it's typically ICE spotters. Just so you are aware, we're all talking about the same thing here.
With each other to identify the location, and then they train their insurgents on how to block ICE vehicles, how to try to free arrestees, and then they dox ICE officers, they follow them home, they follow them to where they sleep at night. So again, it's a sophisticated insurgency involving a large number of radicalized, extremist, violent left-wing operators stoked by the Democrat Party. The resources and strategy is in place now, and you're going to see significant numbers. There's already been in the recent days a huge increase in arrests of domestic insurgents, but those numbers are going to increase. And I just want to put this back to the American people. You said it, Laura. Americans voted in a landslide to uphold the sovereignty of this country.
Which is why I am very curious if a Republican is going to possibly side with a Democrat. Do you guys think that's going to happen? Are we going to see Republicans possibly side with Democrats as far as the funding for Homeland Security? Or vice versa? Are we going to see Democrats side with Republicans? Because at the end of the day, the strongest talking point, in my personal opinion, has to be security. If you ever want to garnish votes, if there's one stat, it's, hey, I love security for the country and I want to make sure you're safe. By not voting for Homeland Security, obviously that could ruffle some feathers. So I am very curious if we're going to see some switching around here. Again, this is all based off of the reforms that the Progressive Caucus Democrats are asking for.
Americans, by overwhelming majorities, oppose mass Somali fraud. Americans, by overwhelming majorities, just oppose Somali refugee resettlement in principle. So the public is behind this. Minnesota was once a pristine state. Perfect education, no crime, no unrest, no violence, and then they ruined all of it, Laura.
The other issue is ICE is in Homeland Security, so I don't know how they're going to navigate that talking point or that vote, because when a lot of Democrats or people who don't like deportation operations, they will just use ICE generally. Like Nick Shirley, he was called ICE when he in that video. And he's like, I'm not ICE, but we hear that rhetoric a lot. Sometimes it'll even be Chief Bovino of Border Patrol. He gets called ICE. So that was Stephen Miller. Let's watch some of this. I am very curious what the Chief of Police has to say, if you guys want to see some of this. And again, just so you guys are aware, a little later in the video, we do have a separate video angle of the Nick Sortor incident where he was like surrounded, his Jeep was surrounded. We have another video of the person in front of the Jeep, and I think you'll find the audio rather interesting. Last night, there was also some action at the hotel in Minneapolis. Protests broke out last night as well. But let's just see real quick what the Chief of Police has to say. We'll get to that in a second.
To the Minneapolis Police Chief, Brian O'Hara. Chief O'Hara, so much to talk to you about tonight. We understand that at least 6 prosecutors from the U.S. Attorney's Office in Minnesota have quit. A source telling us it's because the Trump administration pressured them to focus the investigation on the actions of Renee Good's widow. And it's a mass resignation, obviously unprecedented. I know you know some of these individuals personally. I mean, what are you learning about all of this?
Well, we have, I think now, at least 7 career prosecutors that have submitted their resignations. 5 of them are the most senior leadership of the U.S. Attorney's Office.
I'm curious what you guys hear about, what you think about this. Did you guys hear about this?
And they're incredibly dedicated. I think, obviously, when you see wholesale resignations like this, it's very concerning. But I can tell you, in the last few years, we have worked very closely with them to build RICO cases and address violent crime in the city. And these are the people that created those cases, as well as the top prosecutor and the deputy that created all of the fraud cases that people are talking about.
Right,
and as of right now, as I make this video, Minnesota is still not involved with the investigation, with cooperation with the FBI.
I believe there have been nearly 90 convictions over the past several years. When you're talking about the fraud that I know the administration is very focused on now, those convictions, of course, came in the prior administration as well. So have you spoken to any of them? I mean, when you say at least 7
Yes.
and the 5 most senior
Yep.
leadership, I mean, this is stunning. What are they saying to you?
Yes. They, like all of the other federal law enforcement officers that live in this state that I know, are consummate professionals. And I believe they did everything that they could to continue to do the right thing for the people of this state and for our country. And I think it just came to the point for each of them have their own reasons, I'm sure. But I think it just came to the point where they felt like they could no longer be a part of that organization.
Yeah, and obviously I don't think he's going to fully come out. If he does know something, why would he say something? But just so you are aware, this story is out there. And yeah, if you guys want to go do more research on that, go right ahead. This is ICE.
Agents, are they able to go into these homes? They have warrants for certain people's arrests. Are they able to carry this out and do their job in the face of, people blocking them with cars and harassing them as they go about their day?
Martha, first, thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you.
Yes, we get out there to go make these enforcement actions, these arrests, and we have to go through the crowds many times. A lot of times, as we're out there operating, the crowds will develop. People will start blocking the streets, and then we'll need to get a stronger show of force to get out there just to get our agents cleared of the area and to get through.
So look, Minneapolis is going to be rather interesting because of how many Border Patrol agents are there, how many federal agents are there. And so we might start to see more protesters arrested, in my opinion. We'll see what happens there. And the local group out there who's in charge, I don't want to say in charge, but helps with training what they call legal observers. The last number we calculated on my channel, 200, for every class, there's about 200 people who join these classes. So there's a lot of counter protest out in Minneapolis right now, to include people who are coming into the state from out of state to come and support protesters and volunteer groups. This is the Will Cain show. Here's Tom Homan.
When do I start seeing ICE agents, Border Patrol agents sue for defamation?
That's a really good question, and I'm glad he asked that. This is one talking point that does not get talked about enough, because as many of you know, it's usually the other way around. I think California recently, they're trying to pass a law to make it more easy to sue federal agents. I'm going to be making a video on that later, so if you guys want to subscribe to my channel so you can see that video, make sure to please subscribe.
Mostly, I have been curious about, and really honestly, in some ways, imploring the Border Patrol agents who were accused of whipping Haitian migrants by former President Joe Biden and former Vice President Kamala Harris, among many others, to sue them for defamation. It fits the classical legal definition of defamation. And now, to your point, you have all of these, not just politicians, but now celebrities and sports figures like head coaches in the NBA, Doc Rivers and Steve Kerr, calling this agent in Minnesota a murderer. And
yeah, so I'm sure you guys are hearing this, and Will Cain already actually talked about this with a representative. He's like, hey, you keep calling this guy a murderer. That's a legal term. That's not really like how you would explain, like you can get into the legal terminology there. So I'm wondering if we might head into that direction of yeah, these are federal agents, but they're also private citizens when they're off duty. That could obviously get a little complicated, but just trying to show you guys, we are heading into this direction of, will federal agents start to countersue or sue themselves?
I do wonder what is holding back these agents for demanding accountability in the form of a lawsuit for defamation.
I think things are so bad now, where you're going to see that start happening. I've talked to a few people, and I think you're going to see it happening. And for this agent that was involved in the shooting, I think he's going to, wait for this investigation to pan itself out and wait for them to come out with actual facts, what happened. Then I think you may see him take action, because I know for a fact, now he has to be in hiding. I seen a post this morning on the way to the studio here with his picture, wanted for murder.
Wow.
It's beyond the pale. So I think you're going to see more of that happening now, because they're way over the line. We always get, immigration enforcement's always been controversial. It's always been, tug at the heartstrings. I get it. But you know what? They're way over the line now. So I think you're going to see a lot more lawsuits coming here in the near future.
Okay, so yeah, leave your comments. Let me know how you feel about that. And the implication I'm getting from Tom Homan and some of the reporting, Tom Homan just said that agent is in hiding. So I don't know how that works. Is there like a protection program if this happens to you from Homeland Security? Is there a compensation package from the federal government? I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't have those details. I don't know how it works. But I do know a lot of money was donated to the agent and his family. I do know that. Maybe one of you guys can fact check me. Is there like a compensation program? I have no idea how that works. Again, we're seeing it on such a mass scale. Okay, so this was posted from Homeland Security. On January 12th, about 45 violent rioters in Minneapolis threatened and assaulted Homeland Security law enforcement outside the federal Whipple Building. I'll be playing you guys a clip here from that building very soon. Rioters assaulted law enforcement by launching fireworks and threw bottles, ice chunks, and other objects at them. 8 rioters were arrested. Notice they're using the word rioters. And then they posted this sign. This is from Homeland Security. Shoot your local fed. Wow. Okay, so like I mentioned before, progressives in the Democrat Party are pushing for reform. And again, I try to be as fair as possible on this live stream and show, give you guys all the different talking points. This is the tone we're hearing as far as wanting to not vote in favor of funding ICE, Homeland Security.
How do we protect our Constitution? We have to use Congress, appropriations power, to hold DHS accountable. Yes, and that means we must oppose new investments and demand policy change and reforms. It means we're not voting on a DHS package without any reforms, significant reforms.
And that's a very big deal to me. She's saying DHS package. This is not the isolation of ICE. Homeland Security, all Homeland Security.
But I want to go further. We have to also impeach Kristi Noem. I want to go further than that. We need to prosecute the criminals in masks. We need to cut and claw back ICE's funding as natural consequences for DHS's disregard for the rule of law and violations of our rights. We have to use every single tool, including the power of the purse, to end the campaign of terror. Because we brought ICE into this world.
And she called it a campaign of terror. Mind you, she is on the Homeland Security Oversight Committee, just so you guys are aware. So keep that in mind. Again, numerically speaking, statistically speaking, it's not technically possible. I think it's not going to happen as far as Democrats get their way. But still, I think a lot of times conservatives will point and laugh and be like, oh, that's dumb. Anyway, I think we need to get a little better to remember stuff like this is out there, that we quite literally have members of government who are saying, I'm not going to vote to fund Homeland Security. So keep that in mind. Put that in your back pocket. That's out there. Is it going to happen? Probably not, but the foundation has been set that it could happen. All right, let's get to this Nick Sortor clip. So recently, Nick Sortor posted this, but we do have to give credit to I'm Fired Up Too. If you guys want to screenshot that, go follow Chad. He's a journalist, investigative journalist. He does a lot of work. That's his page. But apparently he uncovered this video, and this is of Nick Sortor, a separate angle of what happened to him, allegedly.
You are not free to leave. We're not moving until the cops get here. So again, call the cops. Call the cops.
And Nick Sortor and Cam Higbee are in this Jeep.
Call the cops, call the cops, call the cops. Call the cops. Power to the people. Power to the people.
You're too young to join Hitler Youth. It's past your inspiration, bitch. You missed it. You missed the deadline.
You heard her. Under citizens arrest. Under citizens arrest. Throw it at him. Throw it at him. This is good. This is good. This is good. Worth it. I think this got smoke bomb. It kind of tastes weird, but it's still good. Don't eat it. Don't eat it, King. Here. I don't want this bitch. Fuck you, bitch. Why'd you take my muffin? Why'd you take my muffin? He snatched the muffin out my hand. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Okay, real quick, I want you guys to take a listen to the audio, and you guys can tell me what it appears as if he's saying. Listen to the audio. This is why I'm actually showing you guys this.
Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Oh, yeah, we chilling. We chilling. We chilling. Yeah, we chilling. We still here. We still here. We still here. We chilling. We chilling. I didn't get hit. I jumped on the hood. I jumped on the hood. Yeah, I jumped on the hood. I jumped on the hood. I jumped on the hood. I jumped on the hood.
Hey, brother.
Yeah.
Who wants to talk to you? They're gonna come out. They have their brights on. They're gonna come back out.
I got the video. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I jumped on the hood.
Are you sure?
Yes, ma'am.
You just flew. Are you okay?
I jumped off the hood, and all I did was put my foot down and I lost my shoe.
Okay, but you're okay?
Yes, ma'am.
You sure?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. We chilling. We chilling.
Okay, so Nick Sortor posted this video just to show another angle. And again, you guys, I just want to put it out there so you guys can see that there was another angle. And that is out there. That was from Chad. I don't know what Nick Sortor is going to do as far as the possibility of a lawsuit. I have no idea. But this was a very controversial story, and Nick Sortor is a journalist. And so is I'm Fired Up too, so I just wanted to show you guys that is another angle of what happened outside of the Whipple Building. This is also Nick Sortor. He posted what happened last night outside of a hotel in Minneapolis. Now, for those of you wondering, it was being reported that the police were inside of the hotel here, and it was also being reported the decibel levels were very high. A lot of journalists were actually complaining on the ground that this is really loud. There's the police right there. Some people were saying it's riot control, but that's the police. Again, look, I have no idea how they would know if ICE was even there or whoever, because, you know, we just call everybody ICE. I have no idea how they would know that. We do know there have been 2 reports, to my knowledge, as far as a data leak, letting people know that ICE was in the area. But again, as far as this particular video and story I just showed you, hours ago this happened. I have no idea how they would know or not know ICE is there. Let's play some of Allie Bradley. I'm a really big fan of Allie Bradley. If you guys want to go give her a follow as well, highly recommend it. She's a really good journalist. Allie Bradley TV. That's her. And she captured some of this footage. This is, you guys better, you're going to be hearing a lot of this. The Whipple Building. The Whipple Building. In my opinion, this is turning into an ICE Portland situation where we had that federal building and the Trump administration's like, hey, we might send in the National Guard. That's what's happening here. And like, what was it, 10 minutes ago when I just showed you Homeland Security arrested rioters? They called them rioters. That's this area right here. And the Nick Sortor situation, also this area. So we're seeing a lot of contention at this specific spot. That's a good time for the video. Yeah, so somebody launched a firework. Okay, so just want to let you guys know, if you guys ever want to do your own research or look into what's happening in Minneapolis, just type in Whipple Building and you're going to be seeing a lot more of this, unfortunately. On my channel, we are massive advocates for peace. We always pray for peace. I always advise you guys pray for peace, and we don't want to see the clashing. But even the federal government has been taking preemptive steps. They're already setting up more fencing around the building, which is never a good sign. Either they know something we don't know, or at least they're paying attention, and they saw what happened in Broadview, the Chicago area, or they saw what happened in Portland. At this point, they are very good at knowing what to do and not do. Yeah, and Allie Bradley's been out there on the street recording all this. Again, if you guys want to go give her a follow. And while we're here, we might as well play this CNN clip. I thought you'd find it rather interesting that CNN was actually documenting some movement on the ground as far as protesters either following or being around federal agents. So right now in Minneapolis, we have advocates and protesters on the ground with federal agents or around them. And on the flip side, we also have protesters who are like stationed at that Whipple building.
I want to bring in CNN senior national correspondent Ryan Young, who has been on the ground there in Minneapolis. Ryan, as you're walking there, I'm wondering how officials are responding to this inflammatory rhetoric coming from the president.
I can tell you they have been really strong in this fact that they're saying they're going to follow through this lawsuit. And the reason why we're walking back this direction is this is just where ICE and a lot of the Border Patrol officials were just here. All these neighbors that you see here were using their whistles and they were blowing and they were trying to stop an arrest.
Very important I throw this out there. When you hear the word neighbors, that could literally mean these are neighbors who live here. But a lot of time in the reporting, I noticed, because again, I report on this pretty much every single day, all sanctuary cities, the word neighbors also gets used as far as like supporters who are all lean on the same ideology. So like anti-Homeland Security, anti-deportation sometimes gets referred to as our neighbors. So keep that in mind. You have literal neighbors who live on a city block, and then you have this idea of neighbors. We don't know if everyone lives here, but I think you guys get the idea.
While we were here, we actually saw people running through the alleys to try to escape being captured. And this was a chaotic scene. It lasted for over 20 minutes. There were flashbangs used. There were pepper balls sprayed into the crowd. There were tear gas agents deployed. And we saw people physically trying to get in the way of some of these arrests that were being made. So as we walk you this direction, I want to show you because this kind of played out here. In fact, you can still see part of the canister that exploded right there in the middle of the intersection. These people were absolutely incensed by this. And we fell back for a quick second because obviously this was so chaotic at one point. We saw some of the agents accidentally spraying each other. So they had to fall back into several vehicles. Traffic was blocked up on Park Avenue. And as we saw this, we saw at least 3 people being detained, not sure what was going on. But again, we witnessed people actively trying to use the alleys to run, to escape, to evade these agents as they were here in this crowd. And there were people crying, yelling, and screaming. So you understand, we're just blocks away from where Renee Good was killed.
Okay, so yeah, this is happening right now, just trying to give you an idea of the difference of what it looks like on the ground for federal agents and protesters. And I'm always trying to give you guys both of the talking points, both of the perspectives. People who don't like ICE, I still try to let them speak for themselves so you guys can know what's going on. And vice versa. So again, that's pretty much all of the relevant talking points. Again, the really big story, in my opinion, I think you guys might agree, might not agree. Minnesota judge won't issue the restraining order to stop ICE operations in the state for now. So that's happening. Oh, wow, that's another big update. 3 arrested at the Graduate Hotel protest overnight. So that video we just saw that Nick Sortor posted, 3 people were arrested. So there you go. That's what you get when you join these live streams. We get that breaking news, people. All right, so that is pretty much all the relevant information I have for you guys. I'm going to be doing some more research on policies possibly being put in place for anti-ICE zones in California. I'm very interested in that. We have some more action going on in Oregon, action going on in Texas, but all the eyeballs are on Minneapolis right now. And I am almost positive Nick Shirley has another video coming out today. I don't know if you guys heard about this. Apparently, I think he has a part 2 coming out today. It's either today or very soon. So we'll see what happens with that. I mean, we saw what happened with the first video. Quite the reaction. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. Make sure to please subscribe. Make sure to like. Again, I highly recommend you turn on your notifications. And I also, my biggest recommendation is please pray for peace. With prayer, we have that possibility for peace. So thank you guys so much for everything. Again, I always try to be as fair as possible, give you guys all the different talking points, and I hope I was able to do that for you guys. Thank you guys so much for everything. God bless, and we will see you all later. Thank you guys for everything so much. God bless you guys. Thank you. Pray for peace.